We were on set for Spider-Man. I kept forgetting that you were English because you spoke in your American accent the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, he is.
Oh, sugar.
Oh snap. he is, oh dang.
Oh,
okay.
darn.
Darn
Oh,
it.
Oh, fudge.
Fudge-sicles. What was really funny, I think about it, is like, Tom was so nervous about you guys coming in.
So wild
So
to me. He
nervous.
never let anything onto us.
Yeah.
Pull those pants down.
Yeah.
Get those calves under
Under
wraps.
control.
Yeah.
That thing, crazy forearms. Inside jokes.
Boy, what's that from? What's that from? I forget what
It
that
was a
from.
Toby one, and he was like, "This is crazy," because he was trying to pull up the thing. It was just
It's crazy.
forearms. So that reminded me of this.
Acting.
So acting.
Acting. So really acting though, because
We knew this would happen. We were like, it's gonna go great off camera. As soon as it starts rolling, we're gonna be like, so. I don't know how to speak anymore. Yeah.
no, but seriously though, because I haven't said to you yet, and I've been saving it since I've seen you this morning, having seen season 2 now of your show Euphoria with our friend Sam Levinson, the brilliant creator, showrunner, director extraordinaire that he is, and your incredible cast. But I just do want to start making you very uncomfortable and say that it is kind of one of the most remarkable things I've seen an actor do of recent memory, because of its rawness, because of its agony, because of its unflinching vulnerability and access to a woundedness and a kind of universal soul cry for meaning that you seem to just have an accent. How?
Well, thank you.
No, but like.
No, but I mean that. That
you
means
know,
the world. I really, really appreciate that.
But like, it's kind of wild, man, and I know it's hard to receive those things, and because you just do what you do. But for me to witness it, especially, I think it was episode 5. What's the name of the episode? Stand like a hummingbird.
Yeah, stand still like a hummingbird.
Stand still like a hummingbird.
Where did you put it? Where'd you put my pills, Mom? Where did you put it? Get out of my way. Get out of my way. I'm calling the police. No, you can't. You can't do that. You will not attack me in my own home. I want your own home.
It is one of the most relentless episodes of television, like emotionally relentless episodes of television I've ever seen. And we love you so much in the show, just as a character, and to see you being, and I know you, I'm starting to get to know you better and better, but to have access to that kind of awfulness.
Yeah, I know.
And the damage and the pain, and to make it so human. And I'm not asking a question yet, and I don't know how to ask a question about it. And it's going to be 30 minutes of just praising you, and that's fun for me and for all of us, not for you. But
yeah, I'm like, I don't know how to.
No,
I'm
no,
still
no,
trying
no.
to
But
figure out how
I'm
to
gonna.
take 'em.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's another thing we can get into.
Yeah.
But
Taking compliments?
yeah,
Oh.
actors taking compliments. Welcome back to Actors Taking Compliments with Zendaya and Andrew. No, but for real though, so how did you sustain access to that agony, access to that rage, access to that yearning for the whole series, but particularly that relentless episode? Like, how did you do that?
Let's just really go right to it,
Sorry,
right? Let's
it's
just
like the thing I'm interested in.
But I want to say thank you because I've obviously been a fan of your work for a long time, and hearing, I think, compliments from people that you admire and people whose work that you respect, and it means so much,
Well,
so thank you for that.
Well, I'm flattered that it's so meaningful to
Yes,
you.
no, it is. But it's tough, and I thought what was actually quite sweet was when that episode did air, I did get a lot of messages from people checking in on me, which I really appreciate.
That makes me want to cry a little bit. It's like...
It was very kind and heartwarming in that way that people were looking out. I think there was a lot of actors that were like, "Are you good?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good."
It didn't feel like there was any acting. It felt like you were living through something in such an
Yeah.
authentic way. So
I don't know. It's hard to say that there's any specific process for that, right? I feel like when it comes to Rue, at least for me, my experience with her is I've had the privilege of playing her for a while, right? So I've had the luxury of living in her skin for a bit, and the closeness that I share with Sam, who you spoke of, is a huge part of that, because I think Rue is very much based on him as a teenager, and I think a lot of the pain that he went through, and now him being able to turn it into something quite beautiful and express it through Rue So Rue has become kind of like an amalgamation of my experiences, his experiences, and our collective pain and seeing through the eyes of an addict and trying to always kind of, I think the approach was to try to approach it as human as possible without ever shying away from the devastation and the ugliness of what that can create. And also because it's not just about Rue, right? That whole kind of opening, it's about an entire family and friends and loved ones that are affected by that pain as well. And you have to show that, and you have to go there. And I had actually been very afraid to shoot that episode because it had been an episode that that's why I was having a hard time remembering the name of the episode, because we just always called it the Rue Run. So, it had been written for like a while before the pandemic, and so I was kind of dreading having to do it. I was very scared to tackle that. And also knowing that on top of just kind of this massive blowout where the pain is coming to a head and getting to a point where you can't hide it anymore. And then on top of that, she's going through withdrawal. So that's like a whole nother physical thing and aspect to kind of keep inside your brain while also trying to like understand everything else that's happening. What was cool basically is Sam lit the whole house. So we usually with Euphoria, it's like things are very structured shots, right? And to try to give the show that feels very chaotic, some type of structure, a lot of dollies and a lot of calculated kind of camera movements. For that, it was all Marcel, our incredible cinematographer, Marcel Rev. He was, had it on his shoulder the whole time and was moving with me. And I think it becomes like a dance, when you have that camera operator that understands.
How long were those takes?
Till the mag went out. So,
Because you shoot on film.
Yeah.
Which is, and there's very specific film stock that you guys use as well.
Yeah, Ektachrome.
Yeah.
That
Which
they
is
made for us.
so beautiful.
So crazy.
And enhances everything and just kind of gives it a hue of beauty and sadness and tenderness. I was going to ask you, did you say, we're doing my close-up first? No. It's I don't give a shit about the crap about the dolly.
There was no kind of structure because there couldn't be. There had to be a level of volatility and unpredictability to her mood and where it was going to go. So we just started from the beginning. And they said, listen, you can break whatever you want. We made it so it's safe to break and throw whatever you want. And we're going to light the whole house so you can go through the whole thing.
So weirdly caring.
So caring, right?
So
to make sure I was good.
Yeah, because they know that you were going to be doing something incredibly painful and hard.
Yeah.
And then how many takes of that sequence did you do?
Just over and over again until we felt like we had it, and then we moved on to the next part. But it was a long day, because that's like,
That was one day?
It was a one day of fighting everyone. And, I'm sure you can understand, but when you're playing a character that you deeply care about, but they're actively making decisions, you're like, why? Please don't say that. Don't do that. And then on top of that, you as a person with your fellow actors, you love them, you care about them. You don't want to say these things to other.
Oh my God.
I know, no. But you don't want to hurt somebody else, You don't want to hurt someone. You don't want to say something to someone that hurts them. That's not the kind of person I feel like I am.
Yeah, it's a shame, Mom. My dad's dead. Kind of keeps you from admitting what a shit fucking mother you are.
So evident in that sequence, I can see those moments which are just so subterranean, which are like, I don't
want to do this.
But I have to do it. And so actually, weirdly, your struggle as an actor can be used as your struggle as the character, and then the lines become.
And anything you have inside, any pain at least I've held on to throughout my life, I let Rue have it, and I let her use whatever kind of I need to hold on to, and I let her get it out for me, because I get it out in a different way. I'm not like that, and often I shove, so it allows her to take that on, and I'm just very grateful to have an environment where I felt safe.
Oh my gosh, amen. Do you feel, because I remember when I was a kid and I didn't know where to put, I'm not saying you're a kid, I'm just saying when I was a kid, I didn't know where to put my...
The feeling.
Yeah, my experience of this insanity of being alive. And obviously Sam Levinson, your fearless leader, is kind of dealing with his own demons within the show, which is so personal, obviously, and so kind of healing. And when I found theater for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, I get to be all the things I'm told not to be in an environment where I'm not going to get judged. But in fact, I'm going to get thanked.
Right.
And I love the dynamic between you and your sister particularly. And then the family of the mum saying, no, this is about Rue. And then your sponsor,
always
Coleman Domingo, it just goes,
Who's
well, no.
brilliant.
Yeah, amazing. The whole cast is so incredible.
I love
And the young actress who plays your sister is just like,
Storm
wow.
is also
Oh my
very, I mean,
gosh.
I'm very lucky.
Dang.
I'm very, very lucky.
It's
Because
so
you
cool.
need that, you know? You need that
Totally.
that support. Because
Yeah.
your brain, part of it knows that what you're doing isn't real, right? Or that it's not supposed to be real. But your body doesn't know the difference, right? You're still gonna get the same bruises if you kick a door down.
What the fuck else am I supposed to do, huh?
I have a great acting teacher who's basically like, well, it has to be healing. If it isn't
Right.
healing, then we're
what
not
are-
doing it right. And it's about pitching it up, as you said, and pitching it out.
Right.
And also it does become of service. Like I
Right.
watched that and I got a lot of healing for the experiences I've had with the addicts in my life.
And that's the point
That's
of
everything.
what we do.
That's
You
everything.
know what I'm saying? If you
with
can
you.
find a way to heal through it and hopefully heal someone else through it, that is like,
That's it.
that's the purpose of it.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for sparing me.
There's a million different characters that you're jumping in and out of, and how do you keep track of those people, and how are you able to separate or compartmentalize to a degree to make it healthy enough to say, I'm leaving them here, and then I'm moving on to this one, and then Andrew's gonna be here, and I'm gonna leave him here, you know? How do you find
Yeah,
that
it's a good question, and I
balance?
want to deflect it, and I want to bring it back to you, but I'll try and keep it on me for a second. But like, because it is important, and I don't know about you, but I find actually, and it's about, I surf as well, so it's about wave selection. It's actually like, okay, is this wave mine or is this wave that
Right,
guy's
right.
or that girl's or that person's? Like, no, I'm gonna let that one pass. And when I started out acting, it was like, I'll just take them out.
right. I just want
I did like the first thing I did was a Doritos commercial in Spain, and I thought I was done. I'd made it. I made like $2,000 for 2 days of work, and I was like, that's like my life is set up. Like showing my father the pay stub, going, I don't
did
need to
it.
work
Yeah.
at Starbucks for the next week.
love
kind of
it.
thing. But then we get, I think both you and I have gotten to a very privileged position where we get to decide and we get
Yeah.
to have agency and choose. And I think it's really, I find it important for myself to go, well, what am I called to? What am I actually, do I have a choice in
Right,
this?
right.
If I'm like, oh my God, I have to do
I have
this.
to do it.
It's that fear, there are two types of fear. It's like one type of fear is that fear that says, oh, don't go there, which means a bus
Maybe
is coming.
yeah.
And the other fear is the kind of fear that says, oh no, I have to go there
because
because you're gonna get hit by the right bus.
yeah, if that makes sense, right?
So
It's
for
a
me,
good bus.
it's
yeah.
it's like a spiritual bus, but you think you're gonna get
right.
trounced by it, but actually it's gonna enhance your life and expand you, and you're gonna,
And that's such a scary feeling.
yeah. Like this character I play in this guy Jeb Pyrie, he's a Mormon detective, father, husband in the 80s in Utah. Like
Right.
I
There's some
a
difference
gap.
there, yeah.
there's a
Right.
distance, and but that excites me as well. And I'm like, well, so where does that Mormon detective live
Inside of
in me,
Right.
and how can I live as him authentically, and how and what parts of myself need healing?
She's in so much pain, Bishop. And all the pain she's in, what do I do?
the average person would look at me and say, well, what the hell do they have in common with this character, right? With Rue.
Sure.
And, you know,
But on that, don't you think that empathic imagination is the job?
yes. And so it's funny, so like on paper, right, that's
Sure.
what someone would assume, but it's interesting to me because I found kind of like what you're saying, but she is so much of an extension of myself.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, a few things different in our life, or, you know, wired a different way, whatever it is, and that's me also.
But from
And-
the grace of God go I.
Yeah,
That
and
kind of like thing where it's like, and that's the beauty of what we do as actors, is we can look at any human being in any room and go,
there's part of me in
I
that.
could end up there, I could end up here,
Yeah.
I could end up, and that's the kind of the universal thing. Of what
Empathy.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that idea that, you know, we're all people trying to survive life and figure it out, and we don't know what we're doing, you know? And I think with Rue, which I appreciated so much about when I first kind of went in to meet Sam, is he said to me that I was on this board, this dream board that he had made for Rue, and I was like, no, like I just didn't think that that was true, because up until that point I was like, I've never really done anything to show that I could do what you're asking me to do. But he said I watched interviews and I just knew, and I felt like, you know, that to me, it meant a lot because it meant somebody believed in me. Yeah. But also, I think he saw the pieces of me that existed in Rue already, and thus part of himself too. Yeah. You know, there was like a connection already creating and forming. And when I met him, he was like, "Oh, that's her." Wow. And so I thought that was quite fascinating. And then as I've gotten to be Rue, I feel like with certain characters, right, you have to search for them, and you know, it takes you a little bit longer to like for them to click in your body, and you feel like, oh, I'm in their skin now, right? With her, I don't have to think about it as much, right? She's a little thing that just kind of takes over, and I know when Rue is here, and it's funny because we joke about it on set, but we're like, my face changes, right? I can tell that I'm her now, and that's her expressions and her way of moving, and it's weird because it's like it kind of creates its own thing. I don't know. It's weird to say like, oh, I have this love for this character, but I do because I feel she represents so many people that I've met along the way that have shared their stories with me, and I feel like I carry that with her. Do you know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
She's a collection of a whole lot of people and a whole lot of experiences, and every time someone, I think, shares with me, that's when I gain more insight and understanding. And I think having to play, like you're saying, those specific things, I think it's just that open conversation, and I trust Sam enough to go, I don't buy it. Right. I don't believe what you're doing. Yeah. And he'll tell me. He'll come up to me and be like, why are you acting there? I can see it happening, you know, and remind me that he's like, you got it. You got it. You already got it. You don't have to, you got it.
I'm just gonna steal some shit.
Tell me about the memes, because guys, I noticed this. Like, you know, but like every Sunday, though, like Euphoria became like the meme of the thing of every like.
It
how
was
was
like
that?
Euphoria Sundays. It became like a sporting event.
Yeah.
It was interesting because I think it's hilarious. I think so many people. I was like, wow, you guys are so creative. I also was a little concerned because I was like, are you guys watching the episode? Because how are you typing and staying on time with the episode at the same time?
Pay attention.
Oh no, but no, it was cool in the sense that like there's a collective, right? It's people coming together and being able to like enjoy something together and like talk about something together, have discourse together, which is cool. But also I got really nervous too because we were still like in the middle of editing while things were coming out. So while episode 5 was coming out, I was literally in the studio rewriting a version of I'm Tired with Lab to put in
that
the.
Song is so beautiful. By
Thank
the way.
you
Oh
so
my
much.
gosh.
To put in the finale. So we were like, that's what we were doing while that was happening. So we're still editing, so we're still inside of it. So it wasn't like a big separation.
Oh, that's tricky. Yeah. It's like reading reviews when you're doing a play or something.
Yeah, because you're still
you're still
doing
making it. You don't want it to influence. You want it to remain pure.
Exactly. And
that song is so gorgeous.
Thank you so much. Lab is very, very talented, very special. And also, like, I'm very protective over Rue. And also, like I said, because of all the people that she represents.
Totally.
And so I know that sometimes maybe the world won't be as kind to her as I am. Yeah. And that's hard for me, you know? So I'm like, just love her though, but just wait. Like, you know, just wait till we get to the episode we're working on right now. Like, just hold on to this.
Oh God,
just hold on to
yeah. Fudge.
So, again, balance, right, with everything.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun, but it was also very, you know, nerve-wracking. Okay, so I'm gonna flip it back to you.
Okay.
Because I am very interested in your process, right?
Okay.
Because I'm trying to, maybe my memory deceives me, but I want to say we were on set for Spider-Man. I kept forgetting that you were English because you spoke in your American accent the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, he is.
Oh sugar.
Oh snap. he is oh dang.
Oh
okay.
darn.
Darn it.
Oh fudge.
Fudge-sicles, you know?
Okay, let's pick one target. Right.
And we take them off the board one at a time.
Now you got it. Okay, Peter 1, Peter 2. Peter 2. Peter 3.
Peter 3.
I don't know your connections to your characters and how much you stay in them or step out of them, but I'm sure there's a process from when you see them on a paper, you know, and you visualize, and you start again. Like, how do you feel that they come into you? Do you feel like you find them? Do you feel like it's a mixture of both?
I find it's different every time.
Right.
I feel like it's first day of school every single time.
Right.
And I feel like I start from scratch, and I feel like every single time I'm jumping off the side of a cliff.
Right.
It never feels safe, and if it feels safe, I'm a bit concerned, and that I think is the bus analogy as well.
A little bit of fear is good.
Yeah, a lot of fear, a lot of fear and doubt is kind of become a friend.
Yeah.
It's had to become
comforting.
A friend. Yeah, strangely, it's like, oh, here you are. Come on, buddy. We're still gonna go back into rehearsal, even though we would rather throw ourselves in the river.
Right.
Like we're still gonna carry on. But yeah, I mean, with an accent, for me, it's like I just don't want to confuse my body, and I don't want to confuse someone else's system.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like I just want to. It's just simpler.
It's easier.
It's easier, and like
Right.
the musculature stays warm in that way. I find it fun because it's kind of like a more technical. I mean, like the creative choices are the creative choices.
Right.
And I'm so indecisive as well. Like when I'm like redoing my kitchen right now, and I'm like, oh my god, I love this tile, but this tile is like, and it takes me like a year to figure. Like I don't. Anyway, so with the creative choices, they take moments for me to figure out. But then I love having something solid to hold on to in a process that is so intangible, like what we were talking about. So actually, an accent and a voice and a physicality, some like hooks and places where I can hang my hat.
Right.
That will ground me, that can be kind of triggers to get back into the
back
character
into it,
actually.
Yeah. When you feel like you're.
Yeah, or like a piece of costume, or like a rhythm, or if I'm doing like an animal study as a physicality.
Right.
Like I'm looking for the forgotten aspects of myself that I can activate.
And I need you to get Morris to bring the print kit. And a video camera. I need you both to record every single corner in that house.
What drew me into it was, I think, the step-by-step, moment-by-moment process of a kind of psychological breakdown.
Right.
Like kind of a belief system crumbling. I remember speaking to a guy in Utah who went through the exact same thing. It was a Mormon police officer who had a really big crisis of faith because of a case he was working on and was having to reckon with potentially losing his wife, potentially losing his kids, losing his community, being thrown out of the Mormon faith. And suddenly this character became like flesh and bones and cells and dreams and longings and a heart and ancestry. Suddenly it was like, oh my God, the
tangible.
universe
I can
just
feel
is
it.
tangible. And again, if you a feeling of calling and a responsibility to represent an experience, to represent a type of person going through a type of experience, that feels really important. Because I think as long as we have the longing, then some mystery happens where we find our way into like forcing the skin of that person around us, or that skin emerges above our skin, however we want to describe it.
You know what? If I were you, I would rather find that kind of family dead rather than safe and sound.
The endurance that I think you have to have with a character and emotionally when it comes to a television show as well versus a film. And I wanted to kind of ask you about your experiences with that, and then I want to tag on to that. Again, when you're dealing with, I think, the subject matter of your show, I mean, it's so heavy, right? And painful and delicate, you know? And it's not an easy thing to just say, you know, today I'm walking onto a crime scene, like, and I'm just gonna, that's my day today, and I'm gonna pretend like none of it affects me, and then I have to do this for the next 8 months because this is not a movie where I can dip up out of it, but I'm in this for like the long haul, right? And how do you stay in that? And how do you find working on like a longer medium, I guess, in that way?
I found it
Really hard, yeah, I could imagine.
It was 6 months in Calgary.
Okay. Got it.
And there was like beautiful mountains and lakes and really good restaurants in the city. There's a place called the Repsol Center, which I went most days off, which had a cold plunge and a steam room.
Nice.
And a great gym. Shout out to the Repsol Center. Love you guys. Miss you guys so much. Repsol for
You guys
life.
are great.
Repsol for life. But for real, they'll let Repsol for life.
Yeah, they helped get you through it, clearly.
They really did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dustin Lance Black, who created the show and adapted the John Krakauer nonfiction book from, for the last 10 years. It's a real passion project for him. He's an ex-Mormon himself, Dustin, and he, it's very, very personal for him. And that helps when you have someone at the helm who, like Sam Levinson, that it's so personal, it's such a passion project. It kind of it trickles down to the rest of the ensemble and the rest of the crew. So we had a great group of actors, and Daisy Edgar-Jones and Wyatt Russell and Sam Worthington and Denise Goff. Just an amazing, amazing actors. And I think we were all on location together. And I think that's always fun. When you have a bunch of actors who are kind of taken out of their day-to-day and you're figuring out a new city together and riding around on those bird scooters and trying to find the best ribs in Calgary and not get COVID. It's it becomes a game. But it's heavy. It's like the universe and the world that my character had to be dipped in and stay in and explore and not flinch away from in pursuit of truth, in pursuit of doing right by this horrendous act of violence that took a mother and a young child. And I think that is the thing that kept this character connected. That was the North Star and the light at the end of the tunnel. So for me, it was I have no choice. It's one of those things, I have to go there. I have to stay in it. I have to go there. But he's actually struggling with the same thing of how do I keep this toxicity away from my family, away from my kids, away from my own being, away from my own soul. How do I stay clean?
Right.
How do I not lose myself in this dark, seedy underworld, this kind of hellscape? Because it's a hellscape. He's dealing with evil. Yeah. And I think that is a remarkably powerful force when you're just faced with kind of abstract, intangible evil that you're attempting to wrangle and to snuff out. It's like dealing with the Nazi regime or something like that. So it was painful. It was really, really painful and hard. And the Repsol Center just cured all of it.
Shout out again. You get a lot of love. I gotta go. Recommended by.
Everyone in Calgary, if you're shooting in Calgary, you got to hit up Repsol. But it was not fun a lot of the time.
My guess is that Sam's army, they consider themselves totally devout, willing to give up their lives for their beliefs, and their own sons included in their sacrifice.
Sometimes I'm I'm an actor, and I look at myself, I'm like, what a ridiculous job.
Yeah.
I have the coolest job. I love my job so much. But sometimes you're just I dress up for a living, and I do, and I'm like, and I don't want to take myself too seriously because I feel like there's people who do far more important things than I do.
Yeah, my brother's a lung doctor, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
Come on.
I can pretend to be one, but I can't actually, So within that is, finding purpose in what you do.
Yeah.
And why do I love this so much? And I think that what I found is what you're talking about in that sense of is this understanding of a collective empathy and an understanding of someone else's life and experience and live, and as corny as it is, but walking a mile in their shoes, that whole thing is so deeply important. It's also important to feel seen in that way, because what I found through Euphoria is it gave people the tools to communicate feelings that they didn't have the ability to express or say, and say, hey, I don't know how to tell you, but this is how I'm feeling, or this is what I'm going through. Can you watch this with me? Or let's watch this together.
Beautiful.
We talk about Spider-Man, but the amount of joy that brought people is so cool. Oh, yeah. To see you guys have that moment together was special, but then also made people happy. I think that's really cool.
And also about brotherhood.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that maybe Tom's Peter would have suffered the same fate as Andrew's Peter if Andrew hadn't have somehow come into that universe and learned from the mistakes of the past and made sure that my younger brother and his love didn't have the same fate. That's kind of cosmically.
It's so cool.
It's awesome.
It's so cool. I remember when I read that, I was like,
yeah, it's really
It made me very happy.
And that was fun. I loved shooting that with you so much.
It wasn't that like our first thing.
I mean, it was like, yeah, absolutely. And
Like, hi, I met you yesterday. Thanks for catching me. How are you? You good? Okay, you have to cry?
it
Sorry.
was pretty intense. It went like that, and then suddenly we were kind of done. And
Yeah.
it was this huge moment that we just did like a few takes of, and that
But I
was
guess it was good to get the more emotional stuff out of the way, because the
think
rest
so.
of the time was just
just giddy,
us.
joyful,
We were just having a good old
being
time.
so dumb.
Yeah.
I don't want to brag, but I will. I was in the Avengers.
The Avengers?
Yeah.
That's great!
Thank you.
What is that?
What was really funny, I think, about it is like Tom was so nervous about you guys coming in.
So wild
So
to me. He
nervous.
never let anything onto us.
Yeah.
Pull those pants down.
Yeah.
Get those calves under
Under
wraps.
control.
Yeah.
That thing, crazy forearms. Inside jokes.
Boy, what's that from? What's that
Oh.
from? I forget what
It
that
was
was
a Toby one, and he was like, "This is crazy," because he was trying to pull up the thing. It was just
It's crazy
forearms. So that reminded me of this. Anyway,
Good joke bank you got there.
yeah,
In that noggin of yours.
they stay with us.
Yeah.
We use them a lot.
Damn,
Yeah,
that's
we
really
use them
good.
a lot. But he was so nervous, and because like he was like, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, and I don't want anybody to feel like I just
We
want.
were like that. Me and Toby were like that. We were like, we don't want to step on Tom's. Like, this is Tom's movie. It's your guys' movie, and it was like, if we can help, again, just to serve and be of service. But it's so funny because he never let any. He just seemed so. But that's so sweet that you guys were there.
That's
for
why we
that
were there.
First
So he was
rehearsal.
like, "Can you guys come with me?"
So, but because you guys were like, I guess we're gonna come and hang out with you guys
Yeah.
for rehearsal. And I'm like, what are these guys doing?
Yeah, because the rehearsal, we didn't really have very many lines. We were just like, we were there for emotional support.
Sweet. Very sweet.
But with that being said, I think, we were like, I think they don't know how much like fun we like to have when we're doing this job.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this
yeah.
is like, we have fun.
Yeah.
And it was nice that you guys just like
It became very
fell
evident
right
very
into
quickly.
the crew. It was such a fun experience. I was like pissing myself laughing, but I was dying. You guys had me dying, like crying, laughing in between takes all the time.
It's
And
so silly.
how cool is that?
It's the best.
You
We are
know?
very lucky, and then my brother's saving lives in England.
Right. Here we are.
My brother's treating COVID patients as we speak. And
Yeah.
I'm wearing a lovely jacket, talking about Spider-Man. No. But then he goes home and he watches Spider-Man with his boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like. Oh no, I'm just trying to justify my existence.
Right.
Now.
Now I'm feeling bad about my life. I have some things to ask you.
What's that?
I'm like, we love talking, and I'm like, shit, I have to ask him something that I do really want the answer to.
Next week on Zendaya and Andrew at the Repsol Center, we will be.
We'll have visitors from the Repsol Center.
Yeah, we'll have testimony.
Live testimonies.
Repsol Center.